All right, I'd like to welcome everyone out to the Planning Commission meeting Thursday, April 5th, 2018. I'd like to start off with the pledge that is offered by Jeffrey Linden. If you want to just come up to the mic, that'd be great.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we do have a full quorum today, and we'll start off with item 1.3, which is approval of minutes for February 1st.
Okay, I move to approve the minutes for February 1st.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh.
Can we?
Oh, sorry, we got to do a vote. So second.
I'll do a second, and then you
Second?
can do that.
Okay. And then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I jumped the gun a little bit. Now we'll be starting off with item 1.4, just to see if there's any conflicts of interest with any of the items on the agenda with the City Planning Commission.
I'd just like to state for the record that on item 2.2, the request for the proposed subdivision of 31 units that I, at the time, prior to my appointment, I was involved with some meetings as a community outreach member, but that was all prior to my appointment here. So.
Okay, sounds good.
Also on 2.2, I live in the neighborhood next to it. I don't have any benefit or anything, so I'll continue to vote, but just wanted to make sure everybody understood.
Thank you. And then we do have a number of items that are on for public hearing, so I am going to read through the public comment policy and procedure. The purpose of public comment is to allow citizens to address items on the agenda. Citizens requesting to address the commission will be asked to complete a written comment form, which is located in the back corner, and present it to Wendy Thorpe, the deputy recorder. In general, you will be allowed, as an individual, 3 minutes to address the commission. If you're a spokesperson, recognized as representing a group in attendance, you may be allowed up to 5 minutes. And this applies to all of the public hearings for tonight. And we'll actually start off with item 2.1, which is on for a public hearing. It's a proposed one-lot subdivision. And we'll start off with any comments by the city staff.
All right. So this is a one-lot subdivision on 14300 South. This is currently zoned 8.25, and it is an acre, just a little bit more than an acre. And you can see here where the lot is located. This is the proposed plat. Again, they're just doing a subdivision to create one legal lot, so they're not subdividing this in any way or creating additional lots. They just have to create one legal lot in order to build one home on the lot. Again, it's just, you can see simple one acre lot there. A couple of the requirements that they'll have will be to do some kind of hammerhead turnaround for fire. And they have shown it here. They have received an agreement with this property owner next door to put part of that easement onto this property. And they provided us a copy of that agreement. They did have a neighborhood meeting on this. And there was one resident that attended. We did talk in the work meeting about detention on this lot. Engineering has requested that they provide some berming around the back side of the lot here in order to keep water from running off the north side of the lot here. But I know there was some questions about potential water down here, so we can talk further about that. Again, they're just proposing to build one home. It will have to meet the single-family design criteria when they come in to build it. And then again, this plat would have to be recorded prior to them receiving a building permit. I think that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant here? If you would come up and if there's anything more you'd like to share.
That's pretty much it. It's pretty simple, just trying to put one house on one lot, so. I don't know if they, I've never done it, so if there's a question I'm supposed to answer or present.
Just if you could say your name in the mic, I forgot that part.
Okay, I'm Jory Dowling.
Okay, and if there's nothing else to add, you can have a seat.
Okay, thanks.
And I will open this up for the public hearing at this time. Doesn't look like we have anyone tonight. So I will close the public hearing at this time. And then I'll turn, do you have something, John?
I do.
Okay. I'll close the public hearing at this time, and then I'll open it up to the Planning Commission, and if John has something to share or not.
I was just gonna ask the dedication stuff so we knew what to put in the motion, so.
So he was surprised by the, John Brem, city attorney, he was surprised by the public dedication that was posed at the work meeting. So I think what he would like to request is a continuance while we wrestle through that issue of how to solve that.
Okay.
That makes sense.
With that, I was just gonna put it on a condition, but I'd like to have engineering determine what to do with the detention to the property to the south and how to mitigate that as well.
Okay, anything else from the Planning Commission? Then I'll call for a motion.
I move to continue item 2.1 without date, so staff can review the dedication and the storm drain.
Seconded.
So that's a second by, was that you, Lauren?
Yep.
A second by Lauren and Adam. We'll call for a vote. Adam?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
And Jackson?
Yes.
That's unanimous. We'll move on to item 2.2. It's a request for a proposed subdivision of 31 single-family lots, and we'll turn to the city staff.
Okay. Ready? This is a 31-lot, single-family subdivision. You can see here where it's located, just off of Main Street in kind of the Old Town area, just east of the elementary school. This is zone 8.25, so again, any development here has to meet the density requirements of the 8.25 zone. So again, here's the subject property. And this is their proposed layout. Again, 31 lots, which includes one existing home, and then this remaining parcel A that they're leaving out. So really, again, 31 lots if you include those pieces there. This comes in off an existing road here and then comes through, provides a connection over onto 6,000. This was submitted by the applicant to demonstrate the density criteria. Again, they start at 1.8 units per acre and they can earn additional density by meeting criteria. They do have a trail connection. They do provide half-acre lots in a couple different ways and meet those. Staff would probably argue that they don't necessarily meet the combining two or more properties since it appears to all be the same property owner. But regardless, that brings them up to 2.1, which is well within what they're asking for. So they do meet the density that they're asking for. This is the plan with the contours on there. Again, there's a trail that goes, an existing trail along the entire south side of this property here. And you can see they're proposing a stub through here, and then their detention would be on the south side of the lot there. And then we have some pictures. There are some existing improvements along 6,000 West. However, there are no street lights along 6,000 West, so that would be one of the requirements, is to add in the street lights. And then one of the requirements as far as fencing would be a semi-private vinyl along the trail here, where this is only a 20-foot wide trail. The ordinance would require a semi-private fence there instead of a solid vinyl fence. More pictures of the site there. You can see there where the trail, that's the trail along the south. Let's see if there's anything. They did have a neighborhood meeting with several in attendance, and you should have those minutes now from that meeting. You apparently didn't include them in the packet. I know. Fencing requirements, let me go back to the plan. Again, semi-private vinyl along the south side,
6 foot, right?
6 foot, yep.
Not 8 foot like what was stated in the comments to the neighborhood meeting?
Yeah, we would only require 6
That's
on the
what I
south
thought.
side, yeah. And then 6 foot vinyl along 6,000, along Pioneer. Then, just double checking here where else. There is some road dedication along 6,000, and along, maybe it's just 6,000. It might be a little bit along 132. 6,000 actually has some of the improvements in, but the right-of-way is only like 57 feet. So they're a couple feet short of the entire right-of-way there. So there will be a couple extra feet there dedicated. Detention, again, density. Oh, no lots, obviously, we don't want any driveways onto 6,000 west. Front or back, access driveways, so we would put that on the plat. The detention pond would be landscaped to meet city standard. And then again, to install the trail connection here, which would also provide maintenance access to the detention pond. That's all I've got. Any questions?
Nope. No. Thank you. If the applicant's here, if they could come up. And just state your name.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and Commission. My name's Corey Shoup. I'm with Blue Line Designs. We're landscape architects and planners, and I'm representing Carmen Freeman on this property. And I think Bryn has done a great job already in summarizing. There's really no reason for me to recap that. It would just be a repeat of the information. But one thing she did mention is we did have a successful neighborhood meeting. Some of you were in attendance. And at that meeting, I think we addressed the concerns of the residents that were there. And primarily, to summarize, really, it's just the same kind of concerns that all residents would have with a new development coming in. New neighbors, what are they going to be like, and et cetera, et cetera. But all in all, I think they were pretty supportive of the larger lots that are being proposed and the layout and the way that we have tried to address some of the concerns that are there. Bryn brought up the street lighting and the trail fencing, et cetera, et cetera. So my purpose tonight really would be to answer any additional questions that you might have. We're looking forward to proceeding forward, hopefully.
Thank you. We may call you up after the public hearing.
Perfect. Yeah, feel free. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now open the public hearing. If anyone has anything to share. We'll now close the public hearing and turn to the Planning Commission.
So I really only have 3 issues. With large tracts of land, we normally require them to show a master plan of the entire area, including the piece that I understand is for the farm. But I still think we need to, at this stage, make sure that we're not creating a blight in the future. As well as, I did have a question for staff if we were going to require a curb and gutter and sidewalk all the way across Lot 2, Lot 3, since that's all part of the development.
The requirement right now would basically only be Lot 1 and Lot 2, since this lot is not part of the development. We didn't necessarily go all the way to there, just to there.
But they have dedicated the land, have they not? I mean, that was originally one of
This road has already been dedicated, yeah.
Now would be the time to get it
Yeah.
done, right? And then my last one, which I think is the biggest issue, is the safety of that school location. I think we need to do a traffic analysis before we can truly see what that impacts to that development. I know that's not a normal thing for a development this small, but since that's right across from the main entrance to that elementary school that has already had several kids hit on that street right there at that location, I think we need to be extra careful of that. Those are my 3 issues.
Okay. Anything else from Plan Commission?
So a question of parcel A, so that's gonna be a future parcel, right? It's gonna be subdivided into, and maybe that gets back to, you know, what you were talking about, Adam, future, seeing what those future plans are gonna be for that parcel A.
Yeah, I think parcel A as well as even the farm, so we
Right.
know
As
if,
well as this leftover piece.
I think that whole area at this time should be master planned. I understand phasing, you don't have to do it right now, but I think
But
we
at
need
least
to
just a rough kind of layout to make sure that it works.
make sure it makes sense with what, you know, are we planning on 5900 West just dead ending into a little cul-de-sac?
Right.
Because that's all that would be able to happen. Or is there plan to pull another access out of parcel A in the future through a cul-de-sac, turn that into a knuckle, and now we have two bypasses of, to get to 134th through a couple subdivisions. So it's just something I think we need to make sure we look at.
Any other remarks? Okay, then I'll see about a motion.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
I think the
yeah.
applicant can
If the
come on
applicant
up.
wants to come back up and address anything.
I should learn to sit at the front, right, rather than the back. Again, Corey Shoup with Blue Line Designs. Thanks for bringing up the concerns. If I can maybe address them in order as I try to remember. Concern number one through parcel A and the vacant pieces. It's valid to want to understand how that might develop out, but I think at this point it would be nearly impossible to do that other than to say if and when Mr. Freeman's brother decided to develop that piece of ground, obviously he'd have to come through the same process and meet all of the required city codes, ordinances, roads, et cetera, et cetera. And so it's probably easy at this point to say he'd probably extend it to the west and maybe then connect to 5600. But really, he has no intent at all at this point. Maybe after he's passed on and no longer part of us, someone may purchase that up and decide to do that. But in fact, that's why the plat changed. He wanted more property and he took up more of that, where we see parcel A. Originally that was part of the development, but he showed interest in having that. So I think to hold it up, wondering what that might be, I think it would be just a pure guess at this point, but sufficeth maybe to say that he would have to meet all city required.
And Corey, I
codes.
think all they're looking for is a guess. I mean, I don't think it would,
Yeah,
it would tie you
We're
in the
more
future. I
talking
don't
about
think
the
it'd be-
roadway and what potential would be, because it's required in our ordinance for you to do that for all land that was in it. And because because it was the family's land, the whole land needs to be evaluated.
Okay.
Understand if he doesn't want to be part of that right now, but the entire thing needs to be evaluated and make sure that we're not impacting it in the future.
Okay, great. And so maybe to address that, would it suffice to say that it would connect from that cul-de-sac to the west in alignment with 5600? That seems to me to be likely, and that's probably what the traffic engineer would require, where we would line that intersection up.
Again, making sure that it meets it still creates lots that are potentially, we just need to see that. As well as I think that access at 6000 West causes transportation issues for that neighboring community because of the school's backup peak traffic.
Right,
and I'm not a traffic engineer, but I've tried to drive through that area during school, and it is insanely challenging right there.
Right, no, agreed, and thankfully, Blake has looked at that with us, was part of the process, and as it is around every elementary, junior high, and high school, traffic is during periods of the day going to be busy. There's no sense in arguing that. I agree 200% with you there. And but according to your traffic engineer, this was the best solution and their recommended solution.
You guys did a transportation study that said that?
A transportation study wasn't required.
Okay.
So, but working directly with them and listening to the neighbors and addressing their concerns with Freeman Lane, and then forcing all of that traffic to go through that existing subdivision, they were not really interested in taking all that traffic through their existing neighborhood. And so that's where part of the recommendation to go ahead and put this intersection in came from. And then the second item, extending that curb and gutter, that's understood. So.
And then I forgot to say it, I'm sorry. There was a fourth that Jonathan had said something about storm drain, and I don't remember what that was.
That had to do with the size of the detention pond, which currently it's engineered to accept what it is, but I was sitting in the on deck, I don't know what you call that area, just out in there. And so I did hear the concern. Simply put, if for whatever reason that detention pond needed to grow bigger than what is required, it could extend to the north slightly up into lot 17 and accommodate that with no issues whatsoever.
Okay.
And one other thing, if we just want to go through, because it looks like everything's fine, but just go through how you meet the I guess, increase in density, just the 3 items, and just maybe make everyone aware of how that works.
Yeah, thanks, Bryn, for making this big for me. I feared reading it off the plan. The dedicating and installing a trail connection to an existing trail, that's that little piece in that knuckle, thank you, down in the bottom, yep, thanks, Bryn, that connector. And so that's the qualifier there. 2, combining 2 or more properties, that's the greater piece with the Carmen brothers and the entire piece of ground. And I think that's what you're, Adam, referring to in wanting to understand that connection. And then item 3, providing half-acre lots that buffer adjacent to existing larger lots or agricultural use or zones. That's the larger lots that you see on there.
How many do you have them in this development?
This whole, I think all of these.
All the ones on the east
are,
side,
and then this.
the corner?
And the other one right
The other
above
one.
it?
7, I
28.
can't,
Yeah.
Correct.
27, 28.
yeah, I think 28 is too.
Okay.
Yep. And then, was that the last one, or was there one more?
Yeah,
one more.
it's those 2, just the half acres is the last 2, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Any more questions? I'll sit close. Anything else?
I don't think so at this time.
Okay.
No,
Thank
that's
you.
okay.
Thank you. I'll turn back to the Planning Commission.
I still think because of the school, we need to require a traffic study for this. I know it's in the ordinance and it allows us to do that, but I think that mitigation of traffic through areas that were not planned to have it needs to be evaluated.
Typically, at least in the past, and I don't disagree with you, Adam, but with there being 31 lots and 2 different ways to exit this, and I wish Jonathan was in here to hear his opinion, but it doesn't seem like something that we typically would have this done with, and we don't require it.
Well, I guess what I'm saying, though, is the traffic that I'm talking about would shortcut through this development. That's more of my concern that I have for the school, because it's so close to the access. Again, I'm not a transportation engineer.
Because I think Freeman Lane has a straight shot down to 134. Is it 134 that it has a straight shot down to?
Yeah, and that's what I'm trying to say, is that
Right there.
would make
Yeah.
much more traffic in an area that we did not plan on it, and that is a straight, direct road that speed could become an issue along. And so that's where I'm trying to say we need to, because we've given it a shortcut effect through that development, that's more what I'm trying to say needs to be looked at. And I don't believe that's what a transportation study would look at.
31.
Jonathan, do you mind sort of addressing, because we're talking a little bit about potential traffic. I don't know if you're familiar with this area with traffic and how this may or may not affect it, because I don't think we've had a traffic study done and usually require it.
No, there has not been a traffic study done on this. The standard does allow for this to ask for a traffic impact study. in talking with Blake, city engineer, and discussing this, we didn't see the need for it, but you have that ability to ask for that traffic impact study to take a look at those results if that's what the commission would like.
And the community outreach is where I'm pulling up that was brought up by the community, so that's kind of where I'm talking about. Sorry, Jonathan.
You're all right. Does that answer your question, though?
So did you guys look at what
It
Freeman
was-
Lane would do when, you know, what would happen on Freeman Lane when this connection is made and how that is being brought up, Adam brought up?
No, we didn't anticipate, contrary to obviously what's been discussed, you know, we didn't anticipate there being as much traffic, I think, as what is being discussed. So it's not a requirement or a suggestion that we put on there, but certainly in the standard it says anything for 100 uses or more, which we would anticipate there being over 100 trips per day on this subdivision. You can require that.
So, and again, the real reason is that entrance that we're butting up across is the only drive-through entrance for that school. The rest is bus entrances, and so that there are people that park all along that area. The traffic right there, for anybody that has driven through there, is very challenging with the right-of-way.
Agreed. I think your concern is if people come up Freeman Lane and then want to go cut across into the elementary school, right? There could be something done at that intersection, right in, right out only type situation, or
There's
at
that,
that intersection
or
that prohibit
as
throughs.
well as I know there's a lot of people that drop off all along right there.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of sporadic, by adding another road, we're adding a more sporadic pickup location potential.
Right, you're going to get folks crossing the street right there as well,
Correct.
not going up to the school crosswalk.
And that's what's happened with the issues.
Where exactly is the proposed light supposed to go? Because I know it mentioned something about, or are we just talking about street lights? We're not talking about any lights.
Yeah, street lights,
So
yeah.
we're not talking about anything
You were
mitigated
scaring me
that
there
way.
for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't know about the street light coming
yeah,
in.
so just the street lights, okay.
But I still think we need to address the entire master plan of how this area, and who knows if we incorporate that, it might change the whole look. Because like the applicant said, if the future brings in all parcel A and the future farm with a road access that goes behind and through lot 3, which I think Bryn kind of drew that on the map when she was explaining that. If that's the future, understand it's a long ways away, that's even more traffic and more potential to that same scenario. And that's what I would like to see, is what is the entire land plan.
And there is a pretty decent amount of traffic that cuts through 5,900 to 6,000 to get over to 134 right now.
So I just happen to know there already is a lot of people that shortcut through 6,000 through the current subdivision because of the backup effect of 134th from 6,000 west. So that it's just going to add more at an easier location to cut across.
Okay, so it sounds like the traffic is definitely a concern of some of the planning commission. Is there any other items that we may want to address before we look at making a motion? Then I'm willing to, just 1 minute. Is there anything else that you guys may have? Okay, we'll give the applicant 1 more minute.
Sorry, thank you. Carmen Freeman. I guess the question I had, Bryn, we're not required to have this second access, are we?
With 30 lots, you only need one access. And technically lot 3 doesn't access in there, so yes, they could do it with one access.
So we really don't want to do a traffic study. If we need to, we'll just do a cul-de-sac there, but that's just going to put all the traffic in that subdivision going over to 134th and out Violet. If that's what you want, we can do that. And that'll increase the safety, but then you've got kids also in that subdivision. It's just going to put all the traffic there. So we're good either way. I just don't want to do a traffic study and pay for it. But so I'll just leave it up to you what you'd like to do, because we can easily do just a cul-de-sac at that very end, close that off. Then we'll just have all the traffic go through Freeman. So.
Thank you, Mayor.
But I don't think that's the wise thing to do, because I think that's going to create more hazards than going out by the school. So, thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Like I said, I think we just need a whole master plan of that area. That's my opinion, though.
Well, I think the one piece I would add is that at lots 1, 2, 30, and 29, we're going to get a lot of parents parking there. They'll see this as a great place to park, waiting for their kids to come out of school. I think having that access invites kids to be running back and forth across the street to those parking.
Correct. And what the applicant just proposed, to be honest, I know that it's not ideal to put it through that subdivision, but that subdivision is a 60-foot right-of-way. It's a big road. There would never be a transportation model that would show that the road would fail. It's the issue of the school that's bringing it into that subdivision that I'm more concerned about than necessarily the 33 or whatever all that whole area would be. So I guess I'm open to having the applicant look at how they would like to address the entire area, and then if they're going to bring an access along the school, address that with transportation engineers. Other than that, I'm open to whatever the applicant proposes, but I still think we need a full master plan of that whole land.
Because those accesses could change.
They could completely change.
You could get rid of that one on 6,000 West, maybe a connection to 59.
Yeah, and maybe that solves some of the transportation. I don't know.
Correct.
That's why I think the comprehensive plan is the piece that we kind of need to see, and then maybe we can talk more about the transportation or not.
And that takes it off of across from the school as well. If they,
So Adam,
if
so
they
that
do
we
that.
understand,
Go back to your other drawing.
which one do you want? The
That
plan?
one.
So if they do make a change here and get rid of this access, then you'd be okay without a traffic study at this point, but you still want to see a master plan for this area?
Because if they do that,
think it makes
though,
sense.
if they do two cul-de-sacs that kind of go up, right? If they do that, then the future will only
Have to
be
connect to
able to come off, and honestly, parcel A would never be able to get bigger, smaller.
Right, unless they connect it
So
through.
that's what I'm trying to say is I want to see, and that might be a viable option, is have a little cul-de-sac that goes where the future farm is and keeps
Or they
track of
stub
the
this
farm.
over and connect it up or something, yeah.
But if you connect up, then you start to get into, maybe that's a viable option. I want to see what their proposal is.
That would take it right out to the stoplight off of 5900 as well, if they ended up doing that.
Which I think is a lot more jogs in it than a quick turn across, or like you said, that's my bigger concern is kids parking on parents parking on the other side and enticing kids to just jet across that road with how many kids cross right there. So I think you understand. I'm open to either. I think what the applicant's proposing, size lots, not even an issue. It's more transportation issues.
I think we got good direction from the commission on that.
And then maybe we can also address the retention pond while we're in the process to see, because that will affect how many lots they really can give us half acres
Right.
if we push it to the.
All right, I'll make a note on that.
Okay. I am willing to hear a motion then.
I move to continue item 2.2 without date, so the applicant can do a master plan of all the Freeman land. And Brent, I just want to make sure that the applicant, can you draw a box around where I'm talking? Just so they can understand.
You mean include all this, right?
All of that, and the current proposed development. Understand phase lines, as well as the detention pond, and mitigate transportation along the school.
Second.
All right, we'll call for a vote there. Jackson?
Aye.
Lauren?
Aye.
Andy?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
And Adam?
Yes.
Then we'll move on to item 2.3, which is also on for a public hearing. It's the proposed plot amendment to the Anthem commercial plot for a lot line adjustment and to add one lot. And we'll start off with the city staff.
There we go. Okay, this is a plat amendment for the Anthem Commercial North subdivision plat. And let me show you what they're doing. Again, this is zoned a commercial area. This is the current plat that you previously approved, and there was a larger lot here. And what they're doing is simply dividing that lot to create two lots. And then also slightly adjusting the line over here between lot 203 and 204. So lot line adjustment there, new lot line here to create 2 lots there for 2 different users they're talking to. Again, this is on for public hearing. That's same requirements as the original approval, so nothing changed there.
All right, thank you. Is the applicant here? If you don't mind just stating your name.
Good evening. Trish Smith with Anthem Center, LLC. Bryn did a great job. That's all we're doing.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, if you need any other questions answered, I'll stay close.
Okay, thank you so much. Then we'll open up the item 2.3 for the public hearing. And we'll close item 2.3, it's public hearing, and we'll move to the Planning Commission.
I don't have anything.
I think this one's pretty straightforward, guys. Then I'll move, or I'll wait for a motion from the City Planning Commission.
You're gonna make one of us. Exactly. We're all new here, so, all right, I'll do it. I propose that we go ahead and accept the application as requested above for the plat amendment to the Anthem Commercial Plat for a lot line adjustment to add 1 lot.
I'll second it.
So we have a motion to approve from Andy and a second from Adam, and we'll start on this side. Adam?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
And Jackson?
Yes.
All right, we'll move on to item 2.4, which is also on for a public hearing. This is the proposed subdivision amendment to add 1 lot, and we'll start with city staff.
All right, this is very similar to the last one. This is a commercial subdivision that you approved, okay, your last meeting maybe? It was pretty recent. So this is what the plan looks like, and this one again is lot 104, used to be this entire, lot 103 and 104 were 1 lot. They're simply subdividing them in order to be able to sell off this pad out front separate from the building in the back. They have users now for all of these, so again, just separating that use. So just creating 1 new lot there, all the conditions remain the same.
All right, thank you. Bryn, is the applicant here?
Good evening. My name's Cameron Lespacher with Scenic Development. So we're working with a group that is putting in a Burger King and a Starbucks up in one of our projects up north, and they've expressed interest in this location, and they like to own their property. We were going to keep that building pad with a building that we're going to own, maintain ownership, but they have requested that they can buy the pad outright because that's the way they do their business. So that's the only difference, is just to accommodate them.
All right, thank you, Kim. I'll turn to the City Planning Commission.
Same thing, I don't have any issues.
I think it's pretty straightforward again.
No concerns.
Then I will let the City Planning Commission make a motion.
Motion to approve item 2.4, the request for proposed subdivision amendment to add 1 lot.
I'll second it. Oh, go ahead, Jackson.
I was gonna say, I'll second that motion.
So I have a motion by Lauren and a second by Jackson, and we'll start on this side. Jackson?
Yes.
Oh, hold on. Oh,
Just close it.
we'll close that vote. I'm sorry. Oh, wait, have we opened the?
We didn't even open the public hearing.
We didn't open the public hearing, so I'll open the public hearing for this item. A little ahead of myself, it seems. And I'll close the public hearing. And then I'll motion.
Motion to approve item 2.4, request for proposed subdivision amendment to add 1 lot.
I'll second that motion.
And then we'll call for a vote. Jackson?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
And Adam?
Yes.
We'll move to 2.5. That's a request for a final plan unit development approval of 600 apartment units as part of the South Hills Master Development Agreement.
All right. Ready?
Yes.
This is part of the South Hills Master Development Agreement, which again is in the East Herriman area. You can see here. It is part of their overall approved PUD, which is shown here. So again, they have a total density and units approved for their entire PUD. Pod we're looking at is this pod here, pod 3A, which was approved for 600 units, which is what their proposal is. This is the site plan. You see the units here. Some of the units are walkout buildings. Some of them also have parking underneath, as well as additional parking throughout the area. The applicants here, I can let him explain it a little more. There's some pictures of the property here, so you can see it sits directly across from the RSL Academy. And there is, again, quite a bit of slope as you go up the site here. Show you some pictures there. Again, we had a joint work meeting with the council last week where they presented this and talked to you about some of the amenities, some of the buildings. Again, you can see they've got park amenities and other clubhouse amenities. Their development agreement does not require them to show you details of those amenities at this point, but they could certainly show them to you in the future as they work out those details. We also have the elevations. I'll skip to the colored ones. They're a little... So again, you can see some of the buildings will have a walkout element there. The colored renderings. And the dumpster enclosures. And they're also required to submit information on their density, where they are with their units in their open space, so they presented that table for you as well, as is required. So that's what let me go through. So again, they meet the density that was approved with their development agreement and their preliminary PUD. They've submitted open space numbers. Their setbacks were all approved as part of their development agreement design guidelines, and those are in there as well. I think that's all I have. You can have the applicant explain more.
Right. Thank you, Bryn. And just one question.
Yeah.
So the development agreement, we've actually been working with this developer for a long time. The development agreement was originally done
In 08?
08, okay.
In 08, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Is the applicant here?
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, Planning Commission. My name is John Lindsley. I represent Camelot South Hills, which is in the Wasatch South Hills Development Company, LLC, family of lots out in Herriman and East Herriman. As Bryn had alluded to, this is part of our PUD approval. We have taken into consideration with great depth how this project is going to lay out in this area. We've taken into consideration also design and how we're going to accommodate this area with our existing RSL training facility, which is under the same umbrella of ownership. I think we had originally, upon approval, discussed that there would be a design that was upon a toured product, which was up in our Logan area called Four Seasons. We had the work meeting to try to show you that we have requested a change in the visual appearance, the exterior of the buildings, mainly because since then we've designed the training facility and it's a more commercial and more modern type of look. We feel that these apartments are a little bit outdated with some of the materials that we see on our Four Seasons product, so we want to be on the cutting edge of visual appearance as well with the amenities and the product that we plan on designing here. I don't know if I should probably just describe, because our work meeting we went over this, but we're looking at basically building something here that is going to be state-of-the-art. It's going to be a product that runs 100% electric, and we want to utilize solar with battery powers and essentially build a microgrid, working with Rocky Mountain Power to do so. We've got a pilot program with them we're working on. It's going to be a very state-of-the-art product as we see it. It's going to be a very green community, very similar to our Four Seasons, where we'll have internal recycling bins, amenities for tenants to be able to utilize and basically create a very green environment. We feel that this is something that leans on the tech community with some neighboring communities. We know that this will be an attraction to this area with our transportation connectivity. And we think we've got a really excellent product. We're still working on a lot of the details that are going to take a little bit of time to work through. What we're proposing to do is come in and build all the horizontal infrastructure, basically give us curb and gutter and sidewalk and roads and all of our utilities in place, and then possibly around next season start to look at go vertical once we put together the state-of-the-art programming of everything from on top of the roof all the way down to the microwave and how all of these loads and calculations work. So, but with our process protocol, I believe we've supplied everything that we need that provides to you the appearance and the visual of what we're working on, what we're achieving. Our density, our land use, our open space, as you can see, is quite extensive at 40%. We have more open space than what we know what to do with, quite frankly, with our project as a whole. Acquiring the RSL has brought our total open space, I think, now up to 171 acres out of the 490. I believe that puts us around 35% open space as a total project. And we're looking to maintain that, you know, and keep a vibrant community that provides trails, access, walkability, and a very unique feel of a community. So with that said, I'll just kind of open up to questions while I'm here. I know we went over quite a few things in the work meeting, but maybe you've had some time to come up with some additional questions.
I guess I have two. So you're saying that you're only at, I guess I'm getting confused, and so I just want to make sure I'm clear. Because our recommendations for recommendation number 7 says that you'll build up only 50% of the buildings before you install the park amenities, but you're also saying that you're not asking for the building elevations to be approved at this time. Is that true or not?
We are not presenting building elevations to be approved at this time as what's required in our process protocol. It does not require elevations.
So we would never see elevations, is that what you're saying?
No, you will see elevations at the time of a building permit.
Okay. And then my other question is, and this is more of a staff question, but ask both of you while we're here, is number 11, it says the apartment shall be constructed with masonry materials in color resembling the Four Seasons development in Logan. This includes landscaping, pool amenities, playground as described by the Four Seasons development. Now, I understand that you want to change it, and I have no problem with that. But the reason for that purpose is to, and you've said the recycling and the environmentally friendly. Right. Would you be opposed if we put those requirements in?
Which specific requirements would you be putting in? Let's
what you've what you've stated. You said I
some
think
of the specific amenities about recycling.
The recycling program, the 100%. I think you said 100% electrical program with Rocky Mountain Power.
I can't allow you to hold me to it. We're trying to build that system right now. That is our goal: is to make a 100% electrical structure within. But if I allow you to put that condition upon me, and if I can't achieve it, then I'm back here asking for a way that I can go around
Maybe
that.
just some
it wouldn't
solar
make any
amenity
sense.
or something like that.
So what I will allow is what was already approved, in our opinion, which is the pool amenities, you know, the things that were in that we're fine with.
But I'm talking, ignore the pool amenities, but I'm talking the construction building amenities.
We feel that's in here. As you'll see, if you compare that Four Seasons product to this product that we show, you have the same indoor pool, outdoor pools, clubhouse. You have a very large clubhouse. You have a lot of open space. Those are very much similar to the Four Seasons. It's the same product type with those.
So you'd be open to tying it to the environmental impacts, but not tying to a percentage of the. So if I said something like solar and making it more energy efficient, that you're okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, that's our goal of what we're trying to build here, but my process does not require me to have those items figured out at this point.
The only reason I'm saying that is when the staff recommendation that I'm looking at, I'm not worried about the landscaping piece anymore. I understand what you're saying. That was where I had the question. But where it says that it shall be built resembling the Four Seasons development in Logan.
And that's
and what I'm trying to say is the reason to not resemble it by colors and masonry.
Well, with masonry and colors, it may resemble it.
Yeah.
And again, that was the original thing. Again, so that's for you to interpret or change or whatever. You know what I mean?
And that's where I just think we should tie it to the reason why we're deviating is for a reason, which you're giving us. And I want to make it so it's fair to you, and I don't tie you down too far, but also prove
tie a
that
little
that's,
something,
tie it to some reason of why we're deviating, is what I'm trying to say.
Sure. So with that, you know, the rock that's on both products are very similar. We've achieved that. The roof structures are different. This one has a parapet where Four Seasons is more of an A-frame. And so those things have changed because of, like I say, we were trying to create more of a modern feel, and we feel that's the right direction for a large investment to go so that we can lease this space. So for us, that was what we had the work meeting for, was to show you there is a difference based on that exact approval that you're mentioning, that it needs to resemble the Four Seasons. It wasn't being anything specific to being electrical or being recycling. It was resemble as far as appearance goes and the exterior of the frame. What we've changed is there's a little bit more of a modern look to this product. And yeah, I can, you know, would be willing to be held to that accountability of saying why we're going to this newer product that deviates from that approval. Like
That's what I'm trying to say, is tie it to a reason, because in the work meeting, and public isn't aware of that, but that was a big component of what your proposal was, is the environmentally friendly difference that's making you go with the flat roof so you can put solar panels on the roofs.
Yep.
I'm just saying, tie that to some reason so that other applicants don't think we're just changing stuff, is all I'm trying to say. So I'm trying to think what that would be, because you guys have said, you know, we're going for 100% solar, or 100% energy efficient, 100% electrical. How to put that in the motion to allow you to flex.
I said maybe not a number, but maybe just say,
because I'm mostly just looking at number 11, adding more
to the amenities kind of list.
saying that a deviation from the architecture structure.
Or you could even say something the more, you know, resemble that with a more modern look and providing, you know, energy efficiency.
Based on energy efficiency, additional recycling
Any increase in
programs.
energy efficiency over normal projects, maybe.
That's all I was asking.
Yeah, we clearly recognize.
I think as long as you don't tie him to a number like he says, because he doesn't know if
Yeah,
it's
that
gonna be
makes
100%.
sense.
They don't know that yet.
Yeah, I've just heard, I didn't want to tie you to a number that you couldn't support. I've just heard 100%.
It'd be a little sad if you hit 99 and it wasn't quite 100.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
that's only my.
Was there other amenities
no,
added?
it makes total sense.
Solar,
I do think we need to be more than just general vague, be as energy efficient as you can, and I haven't formulated that in my mind right now. But I agree, not 100% either, so I'm trying to figure out a way to say that.
Trying to
where
voice it in a way.
both of us on, you know, I really like the recycling program you proposed.
Yeah.
That is a requirement.
Yeah, and
You know, those kind of things that make it a better product is why it can be
Why there's a
difference
deviation.
of the deviation, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Correct, yeah, and I can understand that. You know, with recycling, that's kind of an amenity that we see we're actually providing as a service to allow people to feel good about where they live, that they actually have the ability to be more green because we take it upon ourselves to provide that service. The trash collecting, the recycle bins, the ability for people to segregate out their recyclables. To us, that's an amenity, and we absolutely want to provide that because we already do up in Four Seasons. But to say that we would have to create an energy efficient model, that's not the same discussion. That's us building a different product with different infrastructure to benefit our residents. It wouldn't tie to that approval like you mentioned.
Yep. Okay. I just wanted to ask that question before I formulated it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant?
I think also, and you talked about this a little bit last week, I don't think they have any concerns bringing back any part, you know, the amenities. Once you get the park laid out, they can come show it to you.
Absolutely.
I mean, right now, the way we have it is that kind of staff would just review that, but we can certainly, I don't think they have issues bringing any of those details back to you as they work through them. So.
But see that, and that's where I'll be honest, I don't want to deviate from what our standard was. If we said we didn't need to see amenities personally, we said back then we didn't want to see amenities. That staff can control that.
Right.
That's not fair for us to change that. What I'm trying to say is when we're deviating from the standard of the old buildings were same product material but different look, and now they're this, I want to have a reason of why we're deviating.
Agreed.
So
We
the
feel
amenities
that
aren't really my issue. I was just more asking a general question.
And we feel that we owe that to you as an explanation because it deviates from the time. I think it'd been 2 years, and during that time, our idea of a product has evolved over time. So we owe you to you that explanation of why it would deviate from that product, specifically Four Seasons.
And that's just all I want. I would recommend whoever makes the motion that we tie it to that purpose.
Sure.
All right. I think we all understand. Is there anything else you want to share?
No, unless anyone can think of something I haven't hit that maybe we did in the work meeting, I don't know. But we feel this is going to be a great product for Herriman. Like I say, this is on the leading front of showing other developers how we can achieve this, how we can actually build something in a net zero type of an environment where we can show that we can eliminate our carbon footprint. And no one's been able to do this. We think we're going to do this. We're very confident we're going to be able to do this. So I think it's going to be an icon in the city, in our opinion. So.
All right. I appreciate it.
Great. Thanks.
I'll turn to the City Planning Commission. If there's any other items we may want to talk about.
Just a minor one. I don't think it's a big problem. I just want to make sure it doesn't cause a problem because I really love what you're doing. In fact, I would congratulate Guillaume. He's doing a good job. But I would say it looks like there might be a couple sidewalks missing at some of the stairwells. I don't know if you need to have, if there's going to be a problem with, in the future, if we add more sidewalks than what's shown here. I assume it's not a big deal, but. Or whether we, for example, at the buildings with parking underneath, we've got stairwells that come down, and I'm sure you'll need some exits at that point. So, like I said, it's not a big deal. I just want to make sure it doesn't become a problem in the future.
We'll make sure they're all there. Yeah.
All right. Anything else? Then I will let the Planning Commission make a motion.
I know, I was messing around when I said whoever, so I was just formulating how to say it right now, so just give me a second. All right, I think I have this, and I'm going to throw it out there. The only amendment I would like to make, and I'll say it in the motion when I make the motion, but I want you all to hear what I'm going to say before I make a motion. We have to change it 15 times. So the only issue that I see is in 11. I think it should read, the apartment shall be constructed with masonry materials and colors resembling the Four Seasons development in Logan. The deviation of the architecture is supported by the requirement of a recycling program and adherence to an environmentally friendly product, which requires solar. Then this includes landscaping and pool playground amenities as described and shown in the Four Seasons development. Do you have any issue with if I said it that way?
I think you did a very great job getting creative how to do that. The only problem that I have is the Four Seasons doesn't have solar, and so putting the requirement for this to have solar, I'm not quite sure if we'd be able to, because we're still putting this together to make it 100% solar. We do know that we're shooting to have solar on this project. That's the only way we're going to be able to get to our energy efficiency. But making it a requirement, if I have a problem where I can't put solar, one, it does not match the Four Season stipulation, and two, it could potentially bring me back here just to say I had problems getting solar on the panels or on the roof, right? So is there a way that we can keep it and not be specific to solar panels? I have no intention that we won't have solar panels 100% providing power on this.
And you're not
we
saying
haven't
100,
got through
you're
that.
saying-
And I'm not even saying if you have one.
2 solar panels
What
would
I'm
be
saying
fine.
is I'm
Yeah.
trying to leave it that that's the reason. And I don't
That
care
makes
if
sense.
we're saying, and I'm not giving
there
you a
was no
quantity on solar.
percentage
I'm
tied.
just saying solar, so people understand that that's the reason why we deviated.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Do you have any
Yeah.
issue with that
No,
as
I'm
that
okay
stands?
with that. Yeah, as long as it doesn't require us to do something that we're not ready to, say that we absolutely can do. We're still working on putting those pieces together.
How about this? I adjusted. This is why I wanted to do this.
Okay.
Adherence toward an environmentally friendly product that incorporates solar elements or other energy efficient practices.
Yes.
Perfect.
I would agree.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, with that, I'd like to make a motion.
Say it slowly, please.
I'm writing it down so I can say it slowly, just a second. I move to approve item 2.5, with staff's 13 recommendations with an alteration to number 11, that it will read, "The apartment shall be constructed with masonry materials and colors resembling the Four Seasons development in Logan. The deviation of the architecture is supported by the requirement of a recycling program and adherence towards an environmentally friendly product that incorporates solar elements or other energy-efficient methods. This includes landscaping and pool playground amenities as described as and shown in the Four Seasons development."
Second.
We'll call for a vote. Adam?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
And Jackson?
Yes.
We'll move on to item 2.6. It's a proposed two-lot subdivision. This is on for a public hearing, and we'll turn to the city staff.
All right. Two-lot subdivision for the apartments you just approved. So again, this is laid out as pod 3A and 3B in their approved PUD. They're just doing a subdivision so they can put the apartments on 3A, and then 3B is being sold off as a separate development. So you're just approving two lots there. That's it, pretty straightforward.
Is the applicant here, does he have anything to share on this item?
I don't think so.
The applicant's not listening.
I don't think so.
No.
He has nothing to share.
Sorry, John Lindsley.
Do you have anything to share on this item?
No, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, right?
That's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
We'll turn to the public hearing, and we'll open that up. We'll close the public hearing, and we'll turn to the City Planning Commission.
Okay, Jackson, you got one. Go for it, man.
As far as, well, no, I was gonna just ask a quick question.
Sure.
Just so I understand, when they sell this lot, the developer of the new lot will be required to match the rest of the Camelot
Nope.
No.
requirements?
Pod
or-
3B is a different, it's approved at more of a townhome density, so it will be coming in as a separate development.
Okay, but the elevations will still be approved through the Wasatch South Hills HOA?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That'll come back, right? I mean, that whole area will come back, that
All
product.
of Pod 3B will come back to you. We've been working with the developer. It'll come back to you as townhomes. You'll see the layout and the elevations and everything. Will come back to you.
So
Yep.
3A is what we just talked
3A
about.
is
We
what you
only
just
talked about
approved,
3A.
I'm just,
3B will come back.
I'm just saying they're doing a great job on 3B, or sorry, 3A.
A, yeah.
I just want to make sure 3B meets the same standards. So,
So, I mean, you can. I thought you didn't have anything to say.
So with that said, 3A is a group that we are internally working on at Camelot South Hills is essentially a Wasatch product. DAI is doing 3B. I'm not sure the product exactly they're doing. I know the density. I know they'll be bringing in about 260 units. I don't know if they're going to try to meet the same kind of standards like we're trying to set for 3A. So I don't want that precedence to be set because I'm not sure.
But you have design guidelines.
It'll
that
meet
they
the
still have to
standards
meet.
of the master
We have to
development
stay-
agreement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Technical guidelines we still will follow. Absolutely.
okay.
Yep.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you. Then I will, a motion to the City Planning Commission.
So I make a motion to accept item, was this 2.6? To accept item 2.6 for approval.
I'll second it.
Motion by Jackson and a second by Adam, and we'll start on this side with Jackson.
Yes.
Lauren?
Yes.
Andy?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
And Adam.
Yes.
All right, then will be the end of our items on administrative, and we have no legislative items today. So our future meetings will be, City Council will be holding a meeting on Wednesday, April 11th, and then the Planning Commission's meetings on April 19th. Is there any additional comments by the Planning Commission?
I just would like to echo what I said in the work meeting with staff about looking into the requirements for quick claim deeds versus subdivisions. How far we should look back so that we don't have these little infill potentials.
Yep, we're gonna look into it.
Thank you.
Then I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Yeah, sure.
What? Never, never.